Y'all crazy, man.
What's up, man? Welcome back.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Hold on. Shh. Because it should be said. Although we've done other episodes, they're going to be out of sequence. So this is episode 1. This is episode 1 of what I would like to call not a rebrand, but a relaunch and an evolution. You know, like this show used to be just a tiny little audio show in our living room. And now it's grown into something much bigger, much greater. It's given us like opportunity. But we haven't done it in a couple of years. So it's good to be back. And it felt like it made the most sense on the planet to have you here for our inaugural episode. And there's a couple of reasons for that. A, we've been on a journey together. Like us. Like I've seen you grow and you've seen me grow over the past 10, maybe 12 years.
Your skin is glowing more than ever before
I
right
feel
now.
great, dude. I feel great. And I feel like we have these kind of like stops every 3 years where it's not always in a podcast, but a lot of times it is, where we kind of reconvene and we're like, hey, what's up? And you're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, I'm doing this. And you're like, I'm doing this. And we get excited. And sometimes I'm down. And there's been so many times, man, where I've texted you and I've just had a horrible time. And I'm like, dude, I'm not feeling good about this project or this. And like literally your conversation has like turned my entire trajectory around. So,
Oh, shit.
A, that's the first reason. B, I'm so happy to see what you have done and all of in the past couple of years and that we've talked, that it made so much sense because gotta catch up. There's so much shit to talk about. You've been on television, you've made records, you've had a whole new project out. Like it's like holy shit. So thank you, man. Like thank you for being here, and I'm just so happy that life is good for you and for me and for you and for us. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy the show's back. I'm happy you're here. And let's fucking get it going, man.
I'm loving these super based positive vibes going on.
I mean,
tonight.
positive push,
I love
right?
That.
We have to.
I love that.
Yeah,
I mean,
we had to have a real discussion on what we're gonna do when we brought this podcast back and who we were gonna have on, and you were at the top of the list, man. Like,
Thank you.
It just fit. All this fits together so well. So
well,
yeah.
To
How
be
you
honest-
been?
to be honest, it's kind of I always feel a little bit cheesy talking about myself and like what I'm up to, but that's what I have to do to make people aware. But I really appreciate you saying that, like talking to me, like inspire you to keep doing shit or
Oh, dude, I've
make
texted
you
you.
feel
I've
good.
texted
That's
you a few
crazy.
times, man, where I'm like having a.
I'm like happy to talk about it because I feel like there's so many ups and downs when you're a creative person, and not just in like the sense of your business, but maybe just how you feel about your project, even if it's a hobby or something for fun or something you're just learning to do or something you do professionally or whatever. I feel like there's always like waves, and I feel like I'm always changing as an artist. Like I always have different goals. And I feel like the goals I have right now really align the most with who I am and who I want to be. And I'm kind of moving with a different sense of purpose now. And I think where I'm at now really reminds me of how I felt when I was like a teenager maybe. Like I was walking around my parents' neighborhood today and I was getting all these flashbacks to like times when I'd be making music for the first time and just walk around listening to music. And I feel a lot of that same energy I had then coming back into my life now, and I'm really lucky to recognize that.
What do you think that is?
I think that it is... I think it's a few things. I think it's several factors. I think it's time and age. You know, as you get older, you naturally do more things, you have more experiences, and you have more to pull from. And you can see, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this. And maybe you can step back and see at different points in your life as an artist that you really locked in with these certain things that you did, and you didn't really like these other things you did as much as you thought you would. So I think it's that. I also think it's like opportunity too, like getting the opportunity to like make records or to host a YouTube show or host a television show or do a podcast. Like through the opportunities, you get your reps up and you get to actually try the things that you have in your head, you know? I think one of the biggest problems with being an artist, especially kind of DIY people like us, is money. And when you don't have even the bare minimum to fund what you're trying to do, I think it makes us kind of like desperate and makes us second guess stuff and drains us. And it kind of makes us think about other parts of making art that don't really lead to success the way you think they would. Like, I think when you're broke, it's so common for you to be like, well, maybe if I just do this, more people will like it and it'll get me more attention or more money. And I think usually that's not the way it works. I think the things that people really latch onto are the things that feel real, that feel authentic. And I think people aren't as stupid as we think they are. Like, they can tell when an artist or an actor or a podcaster or whatever the hell is like being themselves or being true to themselves, or at least doing something that is coming from like a real place. And yeah, I've just had more time to like get opportunities that keep me living comfortably. And with that comfort, I've discovered that I can take time and put care into my shit, whether I'm living comfortably or not.
Right.
And I think I had to have those experiences for me to get to this place.
Yeah, and man, it's kind of weird because the last time we talked in an interview format was
Why is it so
for what's that?
Why is it
Oh,
so,
right
like,
off the
deep?
bat, we're like 4 minutes in.
We got tears in our eyes and shit already.
The last time we talked, actually, it's not even out yet, but it was for the Volcom
Yeah.
and we had a similar conversation.
What
know?
year is that? 2017?
Yeah, that was already that was 3 years ago.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That was 3 albums ago.
Yeah.
Shit. Oh my God,
Four,
so much.
four if you count the one that I'm putting out later this year.
You know what's
it's
so
like,
funny about that is I remember that year
I was
thinking
probably in a
like
totally different mind.
I thought that my life, like the trajectory was, I was like, oh, well, I figured it out right there. I thought that year was going to go a whole different way. And like, it obviously didn't like go that way because that show's still not out, which it'll be out soon. Don't worry. But it's just so wild how things work out, man. It's so wild. So it's been 3 years and the show's not out. So sorry for the folks that may not have the context, but we talked about your record the last time I talked to you.
You talking about my McGregor Park album?
I think so. Yeah.
it was.
Wow.
So that's
the one.
which is insane. So there's a lot to catch up on. So I want to kind of hit the highlights because we don't have a terrible amount of time here. And there's been a lot of stuff that you've done outside of music as well. Let's kind of start from the top, man. Like what over the past couple years, because you have done a lot. What's kind of your not, I don't want to say proudest because we're not going to number them or anything like that, but you know, if you had to list them off right now, let's hear the things that you've kind of been up to, man.
I'd say the most important things that happened in the last 2 or 3 years in my career as an artist and my development as an artist and all that shit is I co-created and hosted a great show called Thrift Hall, which was successful.
It was hilarious.
I hosted a show for Viceland, which was a failure. I put out an album with a great punk label called Don Giovanni Records. The album is 10,000 Hours. And I put out an album a month ago with another great label called Car Park, and the album is called Wake Up. I moved from Los Angeles to New York.
I was going to ask where you're living now, so you moved back to New York.
I'm about to move from New York to Arizona. Me and my girl just bought a house, which is a crazy like adult thing that I would have never imagined
Arizona?
that I would do. Yeah, that I would have never imagined I would do. Yeah, just I would say
Dude,
those are the main.
and this is
I mean,
why-
I'm like
and-
blending in
and it-
career and
and
life,
it-
but those are the main things.
Journalistically, it sounds like I did do my research, but what it is that you do so fucking much, man, that it's like almost hard to keep track. Because I'm like, oh, he's hosting this show now. Oh, he's got a record now. Oh, he's in a new band now. And it's just, so I'm literally I'm like asking for the listener as well. It's like, hey, catch up because holy shit, like you've done a lot. But I remember when you got this Vice show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a failure. That's being, I mean, it's not on
I don't-
anymore,
you
but
know
that
what?
doesn't necessarily mean it was a failure.
I personally don't want to call it a failure because the show being canceled didn't hurt me. I gained a lot from doing that show.
But you were filling the Jesus and Mero slot,
Yes,
right? That's
yes,
an impossible
yeah.
slot to fill.
I
Really
think it
hard.
wasn't just that. I think, probably the best thing I learned about that project, most important thing I learned about that project, that when you're making a project, everybody involved, the entire team and crew, needs to be in sync and enjoying what they're doing. And if you aren't enjoying doing the project, it's not going to work. I think just on a spiritual level, people can feel when people working on something are not really fucking with it. And I don't just mean us as hosts. I mean the network, the producers.
Right.
Like, that was the first project that I've done where there were so many people involved that were unhappy with it. And we had the cards stacked against us in the first place because they were rushing us to get it to air. It was so many structural things wrong with that show
It was kind of doomed.
that I feel like it was kind of doomed. You know what I mean? And moving forward, that taught me that it's not just about somebody's resume when you're linking up with them to work on something. It's really about the vibe and how y'all connect, and if y'all are on the same page to make a product or content or art or whatever that comes from the same voice or at least a similar group of voices.
So in that sense, you can't call it a failure because I mean that's a big lesson to learn, right? I mean, like it's not always about the.
I had never been in a situation like that before where I was making something with so many people that we didn't see eye to eye. And I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about the hosts.
Sure.
All of us as hosts were cool. It more so felt like, damn, why do us as hosts feel like it's us versus them,
yeah, right,
and they
right.
don't, and them being like the network producers, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why don't they like our ideas? Why are they upset when we want to critique an idea? Like, it was just, it's not the same vibe as doing Thrift Hall, which is a show that I made with people that I didn't know that well at first. But as we got to know each other, we found out we had so much stuff in common. We were so happy to get it done. We did that show at first on a shoestring budget. We pulled in so many favors.
The guests
And
that y'all started
we, like,
getting, yeah.
I got crazy guests by just, stroke of luck.
Right.
And
Are you working
through, like,
on-
friends too? But
Did I hear that you were working on something else with Vice? Did I imagine that?
I am not working.
No?
You're like, definitely
I
not.
don't know why.
But-
I thought I might. Maybe I misread that.
I am working on other stuff with some people that used to work at Vice.
Okay.
When
okay.
we were doing
Maybe
that
that's
show.
what I don't know where if. I don't know. Never mind.
So
Ignore it.
structurally, how does it compare to like working with a network like Vice to be on Thrift Hall? Like, was it just like a small group of people? Because I would imagine
Yes.
being on the same page, like you were saying, it requires somebody or else, first of all, a smaller group, but also people who are just kind of building from the ground up and like
Yeah. And people who just share the same sensibilities when it comes to like culture and humor and everything.
Like-minded. Yeah.
Just like so many people on the behind the scenes side of the Vice show were just not on the same page as us.
there's probably like quotas to fill and deadlines, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
just
When
like
all
not
that's
the
worked
kind
in.
of people who like we just aren't speaking the same language, and I think it just doesn't work like that. Like you have to work with people that vibe well together with you, and I think people can tell. And it taught me that there were times in my music where I've collaborated with people where I didn't feel like it was really a good fit, or it was hard to get a song off the ground, or it just didn't feel right in some sense. And even if we made something, it never got the reaction from my audience that other stuff I made that felt more pure.
Do you ever struggle with that? Like thinking kind of the expectation versus, the project, the expectation of the project versus maybe the idea of the project?
I feel like now I definitely don't, but at least not in a way that's detrimental.
Sure.
Maybe in a fun way, like, oh, I hope that this song makes people feel like this, or I hope people, it's in a fun way, not in a way like, oh man, I hope they like it so I can eat and pay my mortgage and stuff.
And I feel like I always try to hit that question with everyone I talk to because I feel like that's kind of the ultimate mystery with not only being a musician but just creating things in general. When these things are a project, but they're also just as much of a product.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to figure out this balance of like, how do I stay creative, stay productive, and feel good while also providing something that is something that people want. And that is like the ultimate mystery because everyone always has a different answer for that, by the way. So there's no right answer, which I find most interesting.
I think that it's bullshit when people say that they aren't concerned about making money from art or like all that. I mean, we have lives. Like we have like
It's like I gotta
families.
pay bills
We
still.
have
Like,
homes. Like we have, we have real bills to pay. And I make art to make a living. You know what I mean? So when I'm doing this as my job, a job that I feel like is kind of a luxury. I think it's a luxury to be an artist, and we are privileged to have the opportunities to even do this or do anything at all that people want to check out.
Right.
We should be smart about it and be mindful of what we're making, because I think when you start making it just from that place, you kind of lose yourself and you're not really like making stuff that people are going to care about.
like Grimes.
Yeah.
You don't like Grimes' new album?
I don't love it.
That's not why I got into her.
People
in the first
loving
place.
the new Grimes album, though.
It's cool.
People
Like,
love
I think
it.
it's because she's bigger than she's ever been.
Well, I think also that the theme of the album too is futuristic and slower. It's cool. Like all of it's cool. It's not why I got into her though. And I thought now that she has access to like have more resources, I think her talent's still there, but I think it popped more when she had less to work with. Like when she made that album on GarageBand.
That being said, it is just the kind of record that like I would totally flip on. Like ask me again in 6 months.
Yeah. Right.
Like I'll probably be like, dude, it's brilliant.
I feel like
it's
I've
one
said
of
that
those
about each and
things.
every one of her albums at the same time.
Like Poppy, dude, I fucking thought Poppy was dog shit. I thought it was I was like, this is manufactured awful music. I don't understand. I love Poppy now.
I haven't
think
checked
she's
out Poppy
brilliant.
yet.
She's brilliant.
But I've seen the billboards all over LA.
She's blown. She used to like. She has an interesting story because her gimmick, if you will, is that she's like an android kind of
like a
weird.
synthetic.
But she had a very similar gimmick to another artist named Margot. What was the? No.
Mars Argo.
Mars Argo. And the mutual. So there was a guy named Titanic Sinclair who was like an artist / producer who apparently thought of this gimmick for originally Mars Argo. They were dating. They broke up. She like outed him as an abuser. Then he picked up Poppy, applied the same gimmick to her, and then they got big. And Poppy defended him for a little bit, but then this past December outed him, said actually everything that Mars said was true. He's a manipulative person. We're out.
Wow.
Mars is great. It's just this wild turn of events. And also, as soon as that happened, her music like turned death metal. Like it went from being like kind of teeny bop with the occasional guitar to like all of a sudden like she has like a full band that plays death metal, and she's opening up for Deftones and Gojira next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like it's such a crazy turn of events that I'm like, this is the best. Like this is why I like music journalism, is for stories like that. Because that's such a out of left field like trajectory, but it's so cool.
And there's also a mix of like classic music,
Despite all the
business
abuse.
fuckery.
Right.
Right.
Like I feel like
shit.
this is definitely not the first time that a male producer, songwriter has taken on a female artist and been like, yo, I'm gonna mold your whole
Right.
career,
Right.
or like be the behind the scenes guy.
But they kinda
and
took
he
it-
turned out to be an abuser.
But they
Yeah.
kind of like took that situation by the balls, despite going. I mean, obviously they went through an amount of abuse that's terrible, but like, he is not doing well apparently. Like in terms of like his career, like people don't fuck
certainly
with that
not.
guy anymore. They're fine. Like I don't know, Mars Argo's. I think
I
she's
don't really know
recovering.
what
I don't
it
know.
is.
Either way, it's an interesting story. But Poppy's great. I don't even know where we started talking about that.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, because I changed my mind on her. I didn't really care about her. Yeah,
Man, some of my favorite music
you hated it
is
first.
stuff that at first I was lukewarm or unsure.
Yeah.
and then it soaks in, and then you love it. I actually feel like a lot of my own music is like that is that way too. Honestly, like I feel like
I hate
a
this.
lot about. I mean, not to me, but I think for people that listen.
Oh, I feel you.
I think that
Okay.
as you listen to more of my music, if I'm doing my job the way I intend to, more stuff will unfold. You'll pick up on more words. You'll
That's
pick
fair.
up on more
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that are happening in the production. You know, I always want to give you more with an album than just like, here's a bop or here's a hot song. Like, I want you to hear a lot of my opinion, even if it's not as straightforward as just saying it out loud. I want you to catch on like the wit, on the interesting cadences I try to come up with, on the storytelling when it's a narrative-driven song. Like, you know, I want to give you
You're
more.
giving it that thought.
Yeah, I think like acclimation or becoming acclimated to an art is kind of like underrated as far as the process of getting into something that you're passionate about. Like I feel like that can be applied to almost anything, not just music. Like pro wrestling, for example, or like something that attacks
We
your
brought it
senses.
up.
Something that attacks
We
your
brought
senses
it
in a
up.
way where you're like, what the fuck, this is weird. This is
Pardon
the
me,
weirdest
I
shit.
had to go off mic and burp on that one.
So that's also something that's changed in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Me and Julian like wrestling now.
Nice.
Obsessed.
It's very trendy.
I fucking love it. You know who else likes wrestling?
Who?
Is your bandmate,
Mabson?
Mabson.
Oh, yes, he does.
Oh my God.
That was
Actually,
art. Yeah.
I have one of his shirts. I had to buy it because it's brilliant. It says Napalm Death, and it's got Britney Spears and Bret Hart.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
And it's the best thing in the world. Yeah, he's great.
I've actually been going to see wrestling for the first time ever. I used to like it when I was a kid,
Right.
and just lost interest when I got
coming
a
back.
little bit older. But my friend Chad in Brooklyn, there's this queer wrestling company or federation or whatever called A Matter of Pride.
Oh, it's so cool.
And it's so sick. I've like been to two of them. They're my first time going to see a wrestling match ever. And it's a small production. There's maybe like, I don't know, 30, 40 people in like the room.
Yeah.
So you're like really
shit.
tied
It's
up
all
on
punk
it.
rock.
And
Cool.
it's in the middle of like a queer nightclub.
I love it.
So there's like a disco ball that's like huge above
Oh,
the
yeah.
ring. It's like really interesting.
That's what's so cool about wrestling is you'll get stuff like that. And you're like, there's like queer wrestling and drag wrestling and just like
Yeah.
these little niche like styles of it. It's just so cool, dude. How much time do we have? What time are we, what's our time right now?
It's about to be 6:57.
No, what? How much time have we been filming? You can look at the top of the.
23 minutes.
Okay.
Sick, man. Let's talk for like 15, 20 more.
So,
and then edit it down or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know?
oh, I don't edit. I don't need to edit.
You gotta edit, man.
No,
What?
nope.
You don't edit.
Nope.
Okay, let me talk about that.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Because I think that editing, I don't know. I mean, you run your ship the way you run it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, another thing that I think I've learned in the past 3 years, which I've done before, but it really dawned on me in the last few months when I wrote a new album that's coming out later this year in October 2020.
God.
Me and my producer, man, we pushed ourselves so hard making this album. It's crazy. Like, there's so many lyrics that I wrote for these songs that he rejected. And I would spend hours writing over and over and over and over. And then when it was right, he'd be like, that's it. Lay it down for our demo. Then we like spent a week doing that. And then after he left, I like spent some more sessions like coming back, filling in the blanks. Basically, the process was that we would dig into our brains until we had a beat that we liked. We would make a beat on the spot, and then we dig into our brains for a concept, and then we would dig and come up with a chorus and a first verse at least, and then we would come back to it later to like fill in the blanks of the verses, because we feel like pretty much if you have the beat, the concept, a chorus, and a verse,
You've got the bones,
you
right?
got the bones.
Right.
The rest is just like filling in the blanks of like, you know, it's much easier.
Yeah.
And after we recorded those like demos, which was hard, I went to Jamaica to record an album with him because he lives there. His name's Goldeneye, formerly known as Tom Cruise, Cruz. He produced my Rapper Gab album, Smart Ass Black Boy, Half McGregor Park. You probably seen the name.
For a long time, yeah.
And when we were doing the recording sessions, bruh, him and the engineer would have me re-record the song so many times, like on each song. I think there was maybe like only 1 or 2 songs where I nailed it, like the first take. But even those, I had to do them over because we had some gear malfunction, and we had to re-record the entire album vocally, all the vocals over again.
So you're saying over-record then?
Yes.
Basically.
So I had never worked in that way before. Like, even before when like we made projects together, I think that we had that same agenda of like pushing each other to like get the best concept, get it laid down,
Right.
the best take. But on this one, I think we pushed ourselves even harder, mostly because of the resources. I was able to pay for more studio time than usual. So it's like, all right, we're here for 8 hours a day. Let's use every minute of this.
Dude, how do you stay so productive? Like, I know that's such a cliche question. Like, what's your secret? But like, seriously, like you consistently have different kinds of projects in the work too, which is really cool. Is that it? Is that what it is?
I think that's what helps me, because I feel like when I focus on this one thing,
Yeah.
it kind of gets like old. Like, I like making music project by project. I used to like just making a bunch of songs just all the time, but I'm not really into that anymore. I feel like that's kind of a waste of time for me. So I like to designate a time to make a project. Like, all right, we're like gonna write an album this month, and then we're gonna make these demos, sit on it, build on it, and then we're gonna pick this other month where all we're gonna do is record this album, and then we step back, and then the rest of the time we're like working, like mixing it, doing art, like doing other parts that like use a different part of our brain and our taste than making music. And for me personally, I'm on some shit right now where I am trying to do a few different types of projects, like a film thing, a podcast thing, etc. And I use different skills and have different challenges in like each of those, and that kind of keeps me fresh, and I don't burn myself out on any one thing.
Yeah. It just blows my mind though. Like, cause even then I like try to actively do different stuff, and I don't know. You gotta like. I always
Don't
have
you
to,
get it twisted though. I'll be chilling too. I'll be chilling and not doing shit as often as I can. You know, one thing I do is I perform a lot, and that kind of fills the void of me making music and like getting my reps up and like being like sharp without having to force myself to write a new song every day. I just think that that's not how it works.
Right.
But when it's time to write, it's the only thing that's on my mind. It's the only thing I'm doing. I am doing 1,000,000 takes. I am dedicating 100% of myself to it.
I feel like you're at this really cool place where you obviously come here a lot. You go to New York. You hit all these cities that are basically, they're essentially bases for you.
Yeah.
So you probably, I know you know a lot of people, and a lot of people know you, and they've known you for a while, and they've seen you kind of climb the ladder. I'm sure you get a lot of the same questions. So for the sake of the people that maybe can't meet you or don't, even though you have all the opportunity in the world because you're everywhere.
Yeah, you can easily come and fuck with me.
But I kind of want to ask you a couple questions that you might get a lot.
Sure.
And the first one is like, and I've asked you a similar question before, so forgive me, but like what is your biggest kind of motivator to keep you going? Because you said you chill, but clearly, man, you always have something in you, a fire in you that keeps something working. I mean, what is the easiest thing that you tell yourself or you bring your mind to keep you going, to kind of bring you out of the well if you find yourself there?
All right, I have 2 answers to that. And they might sound kind of cheesy and basic, but it's how I really feel. One is I get a lot of joy from doing it. Like, I rehearse at my house and play my full show all the time when no one's looking. I make DJ mixes when no one's looking. I like jot down ideas for like podcasts and albums and all kind of stuff when no one cares. And I also do it when people are looking and when they care. I just love it's just fun.
You try to keep it fun.
I just like this shit. This shit is a joy for me. It's fun.
So I guess the minute it's not fun anymore, you'll know that you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, sure. If that ever happens, which I think is totally fair too. I think that if you're ever doing one thing and you want to get off of it, that is totally fine, and you don't owe anybody anything. You just owe it to yourself to be real with yourself.
And I ask you this because I'm sure you get those cats who are like, man, dude, it's getting rough. Like, what do I do?
I will tell you this. On my other side of that answer, my emo side of that answer is
which I always relate to.
I have like this hole in me where like I feel like I need to perform to satisfy me physically. I need to perform to express what I'm going through, whether it's joy or like anger. If I've been feeling angry, I might shout more at my concert or something. Like there's a joy that I get from like dancing when I DJ or like jumping around. It's like there is something in me that always feels like, man, I have more to prove and more to say and more to express, and the well's not gonna go dry. Like there's never not gonna be a point where I don't want to tell a story or say something clever or, try to do something that people are gonna think that this is that shit. I am really driven by people looking at what I do and thinking like, this guy's on some next level shit. He is doing something that people haven't done before or have rarely done, whether it's like the topic I'm covering or the type of music I'm doing, like, or even how I'm dressing. Like, I want people to be like, this motherfucker's on some other shit.
Any goals, man, for this year? Beside the record coming out, any big goals?
Dude.
Uh-oh. He brought a bag. He's got a goodie bag.
I keep a journal, and every year I write a list of goals that I want to accomplish.
I'm also
in
a
my
journaler.
Personal life and my business life. They're like straight up numbered.
Me too, yeah. I love it.
And at the end of the year, I always look back and I see how many I hit. And without referring to them throughout the year, I hit most of them usually. And I think being able to like get it down on paper and to look at it and keep adding to it when I need to, it just kind of keeps me focused. And I try to set goals that I can attain. Like, a goal that I had recently was I want to sell 150 tickets at these shows at a minimum. And the shows I've been doing recently have been doing that. And that's a goal that might seem small, but my goal before that was like, I want to sell 100, which might seem small, but it's something that I can do. I can be proud of myself for like making the goal and then move it up to like the next tier.
Raise your goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't there? Go ahead.
How long have you been doing a journal thing? I feel like I've only discovered that the benefits of doing that for the past couple of years, and even it's just to get my thoughts down. But like for somebody who's like has so many things going on in projects, like how long have you been doing it?
A consistent part?
Yeah.
This is kind of new. This is something that I started in 2016, like right before I moved to LA for the second time. I was visiting there. I was hanging out with my homegirl Julia, and we were just basically talking the same stuff that we're talking here because she's an actor, and we were just talking about our like goals and our process and what drives us and the industry and
Julia
blah blah
Roberts,
blah.
Right? Julia Roberts.
Yeah, just hanging out with Julia Roberts.
So yeah, Julia, she like took me to this bookstore and was like, "Yo, here, I'm buying you a journal. You need to start writing." And I was like,
It's so important.
why?
Yeah.
And she was like, trust me, just take this journal and write in it till you fill it up. And I've just been doing it ever since.
The trick is to look back at it.
Yeah.
I'll make the mistake to write in a journal and then just fucking never look at the page again. And then it's at that point it's useless. Although you definitely get some sort of benefit from just writing it. I feel like just documenting it like helps kind of like imprint it in your
I
mind.
think in increments, like you'd wait a couple
Yeah.
months and you'll go back and see a lot will change in 2 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
100%. Oh man.
You know what though? I keep two different kinds now. One is just for like art stuff, and one is for personal stuff slash goals. Like in this goal, it's like I remember a goal I had was to get like a certain level of health insurance, like just anything that has to do with like my life, getting a certain kind of apartment that's like better than my last, just like general my savings accounts. Like I want to have X amount in my savings by this time. I had a goal to raise my credit, like just everything. It's like life shit.
See, those are the goals I don't have. Mine are like buy cat food.
You gotta start somewhere.
Podcast
checklists here and there. Like, shit, I gotta clean.
Do dishes. Which,
clearly
you gotta start somewhere. Those are those attainable goals I was talking about.
You're
first.
right.
Once you blow through that, you're like, I need some bigger goals. Like,
it's kind of like a condensed down version of what people call that the vision board thing. You just gotta have it like somewhere where you can look at it and be like, okay, this is the shit I gotta do today.
Yeah, the biggest things that I've done to help were journaling, and then that thing right there, which no one can see, but a whiteboard, something on the wall that you can just have right in front of you, and just is that a vision board? Is that what that is?
I know so many people that do the same thing.
It's all it is. Shower board. Just get shower board. It is the same thing. You'll save money, and you pay like $8 for it at like Home Depot or whatever, and just put it on your wall, and you're good. That's it. It's good. It works.
You know
DIY.
what, man? I want to come clean about something, man. Like, yes, I like to create a lot, and I love to work hard, and I'm addicted to staying busy. I think that's kind of what like reflects. That's like this like hole in me part of like, I always need to stay active to keep my mind on some other shit, so not focused on like how fucked up I can feel sometimes.
Yeah.
But ultimately, man, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just a motherfucking,
please.
I'm just chilling. No, seriously,
You're
man.
modest.
I just be chilling, man. I'm just, I'm some regular motherfucker like y'all, man. I like to
But
go
you have
out
we're probably talking about
drink
work right
and,
now.
like,
Like,
chill out.
You have a big creative output.
I
You do.
love to slack
deny
off
that.
when I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just,
I feel you.
but I'm also a crazy person.
Yeah. No, I know.
I'm addicted to this shit.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to ask you on that thrift find show, the thrift find show, thrift hall show. What were some like the common like logistical like obstacles you were into? I mean, you're in, like, first of all, like,
was that whose thrift store was that?
Yeah, like,
So that was the Goodwill, Southern California. That was their flagship store in Los Angeles. We like basically paid them. We like had a deal with them, which was great because the Goodwill that we shot at is a big ass facility that has office space in it for nonprofits and for just all kind of organizations, right? And a lot of those rooms were empty. So we would use those as our dressing rooms and as like a production room, drop off footage, as a room for like legal to sign paperwork, like.
But it's not.
They like
down.
basically no, it's not.
People are shopping in the background like that.
Yes. Oh yes.
Like as you're filming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people would like. Mostly they would totally ignore us, even though we're having a full blown production going on there. But every now and then, some like drunk guy would like stumble on set and be like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" Or like,
dude, people are weird with
Yeah.
cameras. Do you remember the guy when we interviewed you on the bus driver?
Yes.
That was crazy. The bus driver stopped and was like, we thought he was pissed off at us.
And then he gave us his whole
Turns out
backstory.
He was like in film school and just was like listening to the entire interview and loved what he heard.
That's
and like
hilarious.
let us sit there for the rest of the time. Look, man,
We had some crazy. Man, I want to tell some like thrift hall
we have
behind the scenes shit though.
yeah, like we've been through like crazy times and like when it comes to interviewing people out in public.
Yeah.
Like we did the Astroworld interviews with Gilla and
how was
like
that?
I had to fucking back off like because I was getting pissed because people would just stop and be like hey, what's up? Like to
Start
the mic. I'm like
repping whatever they're doing.
I was a bad producer that day.
People see a camera and they're just
really
like,
bad.
oh. Then
So I've like learned that I'm not.
Well,
And that wasn't a good place for it, though. Like, everybody was just, like,
Yeah, I mean,
wild and out the entire time.
It honestly was part of the whole thing
Yeah.
too. But
I think that my thrift hall thing was different because we shot in Los Angeles.
People
and,
are just
and
shopping,
everybody
too.
are
Yeah.
used.
They're not.
Yeah.
To, they
we're
don't
also not-
care. People were like,
Yeah.
we like see
They're like,
a
whatever.
film crew every day.
Yeah,
Who,
yeah.
who cares? Like people, like I was shocked
Yeah.
at how little people cared.
That's hilarious.
People were just like, when are y'all done? So I
You
can
guys
finish
done yet?
shopping. Like,
Yeah.
especially with the kind of like guests you I might have had in there too. Like I would have thought there was people you had people coming up to you the whole time just
like,
based on who like if
Billie
like
Eilish,
Billie
Cuco.
Eilish.
When,
Yep.
when them two came, teenagers were like, oh yo, what's up? Oh, but they were nice. They would wait
Yeah,
until
yeah.
we said cut, and then ask like
You just know.
crew person like, hey, can they have etiquette? They
Yeah.
used to that shit in California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like,
That's hilarious.
They like see that all the time. But man, the Thrift Hall show, we really got some like lucky breaks. Like getting Billie Eilish on happened because I went to this record label office, Nice Life. It's Lizzo's label, and I'm friends with the A&R. It just so happened that Cuco and Billie Eilish were in their studio on the first floor when I was on the second floor filming something.
Wow, that easy.
So I was like, oh, well, let me holler at Cuco's manager because I want to get him on my show. I asked her. She's like, oh, let me ask him. He would probably be down. And then she texted me the next day like, yo, he will do it, but only if his friend Billie Eilish can come too. And
You're like done.
I'm like, of course.
She's like the biggest star in the world.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. It's crazy.
She was big then too,
Yeah.
But she
but
is
like she's like crazy
yeah,
big
yeah,
now.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
Her like reps and stuff were like they were on the fence about doing it.
Yeah.
We couldn't get them to sign off on the paperwork until like an hour past the call time. We had another person on standby to fill
Oh my
her
God.
role just in case she couldn't do it. And at the last minute, it worked out, and she pulled up with her lawyer and her dad.
Oh, yeah.
And her lawyer was like watching the whole set. And if we said anything that was like too like, I don't know, like something that like alluded to like sex in a joke or like cuss too much, he'd be like, hey, you got to stop the take. We got to take that out or blah, blah, blah.
Ooh, I can't wait to go back and watch it now, considering all of that.
Yeah.
Look, man, we got to let you go because we're gonna run out of footage, and it's gonna and I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna look at my cameras and be like, oh no, dude.
I'm telling you, man,
But
I'm addicted
we can
to
we
running
can
my
we
mouth,
can we can
man.
we can do this. We can do this. I have to actively cut you off because if I can't, I'll do it too, and we could talk for days and days. Speaking of, that's a band.
That's funny.
Love you, man. Thanks
I
for
love you
making it.
too.
This is great. It's always fun. I'll see
Thank
you.
you, man.
Yeah,
Till
soon.
next time.
Thank
All right,
you.
bud. Bye, everybody.